Hey, I'm Jesse. Let's have a devotion. I know that we have seemingly exhausted the text of Ruth here, but there's actually more to see. Remember, Ruth, the events of the book of Ruth, take place under the umbrella of the book of Judges. Judges chapter 9 ends this way. God also brought back to the men of Shechem all their evil. So the curse of Jotham, son of Jerubbaal, came upon them. There's like a pronouncement of a curse at the end of chapter 9. And then chapter 10 opens, and we have the naming of the judge who presides over what is likely the era wherein the events of Ruth take place. And then Judges 10:6 reads like this. Then the Israelites again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. They worshiped the Baals and the Ashtoreths, the gods of Aram, Sidon, and Moab, the very gods whom Ruth worshipped, and the gods of the Ammonites and the Philistines. They abandoned the Lord and did not worship him. So the Lord's anger burned against Israel, and he sold them to the Philistines and the Ammonites. They shattered and crushed the Israelites that year, and for 18 years they did the same to all the Israelites who were on the other side of the Jordan in the land of the Amorites in Gilead. So those are the texts that surround the opening verses of chapter 10. All the events of Ruth take place right here. You've got like bad news beforehand, like really bad news afterwards. Here's Judges 10. Within these just like 5 verses, all the events of Ruth take place. After Abimelech, Tola, son of Puah, son of Dodo, became judge and began to deliver Israel. He was from Issachar and lived in Shamir in the hill country of Ephraim. Tola judged Israel 23 years, and when he died, was buried in Shamir. After him came Jair, that's our guy, the Gileadite, who judged Israel 22 years. Okay, during those 22, as Judges 10:3, during those 22 years, all the events of Ruth take place. He had 30 sons who rode 30 donkeys. They had 30 towns in Gilead, which are still called Jair's villages today. When Jair died, he was buried in Kamon. So stay tuned. When we get to the book of Joshua next year, we'll learn more about Jair. And he would come into a town and say, like, this is my town. This is my town. So like Jair's townships, they kind of expanded. But what I want to point out to you is this. Before this, after this, arguably during this era of the book of Ruth, everything was going crazy. Would you consider for a moment that like you and your house will serve the Lord, even while what happens beyond your gates is insanity? As for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. What happens in this house right now, there will be redemption here. There will be forgiveness. The gospel of Jesus Christ will preside right here. That was the case for Boaz's fields. I mean, there was a curse pronounced on the land, according to the end of chapter 9. There was mass rebellion in chapter 10. In fact, some of that rebellion involved Israelites worshiping the very God or gods whom Ruth disavowed in Ruth chapter 1. Remember when she said, your God will be my God? She was disavowing Chemosh and Molech, the gods of Moab. It was almost as though she passed by the Israelites. Like she was coming into faithfulness, and many of the Israelites were passing her en route to worship the very gods whom she was abandoning. So let what happens outside your gate happen. What happens within your domain, your house, your Facebook page, your mind, your heart, let that honor the Lord. This is an ancient tradition, evidently. I mean, like, this has happened about 1,000 years before Jesus, for crying out loud. Like, the practice of observing the worship of the one true God while the world around you goes like bat excrement insane is long lasting. Like, let them go crazy. It does not matter what happens outside my home and my property. My house will serve the Lord.